We begin with humble request to subscribe this YouTube channel to support our initiative on wildlife. Want to help birds this winter? Plant native berries. Many birds turn to calorie-packed berries in autumn for an energy boost. Perspective written by Tovah Martin in the Washington Post and delivered to you by Professor Dr. Salim, who is an ecologist. Autumn is a stressful time for birds as they prepare for winter. Whether they are hunkering down for frigid weather or migrating to a warmer climate, fueling up is a top priority. Perhaps birds could have coined the term stress eating. Birds are under enormous pressure to pack on fat in fall, says Amanda Gallinat, a visiting assistant professor of environmental studies at Colby College in Watersville, Maine, who had noticed the weight gain while bird banding. We do a fat score, and birds quickly store up pads of fat on their chest and under their wings. Then they are ready to migrate. Migrating is just one of many challenges facing birds in the fall. Fledglings are trying to get their bearings, and many birds molt before migrating. Birds that stay put also need to bulk up to buffer against the frigid, lean season ahead. They really don't have much wiggle room, Gallinat says. These 5 apps bring the joy of birds into your life. Researchers are discovering that birds' menu choices change dramatically when they flip into fall mode. Many birds that spend the majority of the year eating insects, grubs, and caterpillars turn to calorie-packed berries in autumn to furnish the energy boost they need. Berries are really important food sources, especially at stopover sites, says Susan Smith-Pagano, associate professor of biology at the Rochester Institute of Technology in New York. But it's not just any berries. Gallinat and other researchers have found that, when possible, songbirds prefer native berries. That's where humans come in. Gardeners can help birds make smart food choices when it matters most by furnishing the right feasts. Pagano's research has shown that native berries such as dogwoods, spice, benzoin, and viburnums naturally provide the high fat and calorie content that birds need. Native perennials such as pokeweed and Virginia creeper are also good sources of healthy fuel. Non-native shrubs, on the other hand, are more like fast food prevalent, but not a good fit for native songbirds' nutritional needs. Pagano's studies showed that non-native and invasive bush honeysuckle Lonicera teterica, autumn olive Elaeagnus umbellata, and common buckthorn Rhamnus cathartica fruit, for example, have low levels of nutrients, fats, and proteins. Multiflora rose and Asian bittersweet Celestris orbicula berries, which persist through winter, also provide low calorie and fat content. And Pagano found that the high water content in some non-native fruits can dilute nutrients. By analyzing the contents of bird poop, Gallinat has learned that, when given a choice between native and non-native berries, birds generally shun the exotic feast, going for the healthier options. Birds just know what's good for them, Gallinat says, and that goes beyond the initial fuel up. Johnny Randall, the retired director of conservation at North Carolina Botanical Garden, has studied bird preferences for stopover spots during migration. Native viburnums, including arrowwood viburnum dentatum, Docmachi viburnum acerifolium, and downy arrowwood viburnum raffinesquinum, are popular pit stop menu items. The same goes for native dogwoods, native hollies, particularly Ilex decidua, Ilex verticillata, and Ilex opaca, and magnolias. But when birds find themselves in their version of a food desert, forced to choose between consuming what is available or starving, they go into survival mode, often resorting to non-native berries. There's a strong correlation between what's available in the landscape and what birds consume, says Curtis Smalling, interim executive director of Audubon, North Carolina. In other words, if invasive autumn olives and porcelain berry are the only game in town, birds, especially thrushes, will go for them, Smalling says. Because they are desperate, they may overindulge in these fruits. In some rare cases, the results can be lethal. American robins, for example, sometimes binge on the invasive heavenly bamboo Anana domestica, which can be toxic to birds in high concentrations, says Smalling. A scarcity of appropriate native food sources can also delay stopovers during migration, slowing birds down while they search for fuel, Pagano found. Feeding birds nutrient-rich berries from native plants isn't just good for avian species, it also helps promote the growth of those plants, which many say are better for the environment because they have co-evolved with the overall ecosystem. Native plants depend on birds, Smalling says. Many berries germinate better when they've gone through a bird's digestive system. It puts the plants on the landscape. Non-native seeds are also readily distributed via airmail.